This is Lewis Hart for Boxing Social in association with Empire Fight Store and William Hill. Delighted to be joined with Matt Macklin here at York Hall. Caroline Dubois is back out fighting for the IBO World Title. How's things, mate? How are we feeling? How are we looking forward to this one?
Yeah, good. I always look forward to coming to York Hall. There's not a bad seat in the house. Always holds a nice atmosphere, and I'm looking forward to the card on Saturday night. It's pretty solid. There's a bit of everything all through it. You know, you got Caroline Dubois, a rising star. You got a great heavyweight clash in Jamie TKV against I'm not even going to try and pronounce his opponent's name, but they're both punchers. I think that'll be a knockout. Callum Simpson making good progress, got a short, late replacement opponent, and Vidal Riley fighting for the English title against an undefeated opponent who's coming to win. So it's a good card, you know. And obviously Aaron McKenna, who's opening up the show, and McKenna's, they're always great value. They throw a lot of leather, look for the knockout every time. So it's a good card from start to finish.
So, well, you said we're back at York Hall. This has been getting a bit of sort of stick recently, especially from Eddie Hearn of big broadcasters putting on fights here, small promoters. Is it good that big promoters are still coming back here and it's still the mecca of English boxing in a way?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I don't think there's anything. You know, it's great being in a big arena when the show is a legit big arena show. There's nothing worse than being in a big arena and it half empty. You know, it loses the atmosphere. I'd rather be in York Hall, packed out, sold to the rafters, and have that sort of electric atmosphere, definitely.
So we'll talk about Caroline Dubois. How far off do you think, I know she's fighting for the IBO World Title, but how far do you think she is off of fighting for, the big top dogs in the division, especially around her weight?
I don't think she's far away. I mean, she's got so much ability, very decorated amateur, won everything, really. And as a professional, and I think she was always going to be made for the professionals anyway, she's gone from strength to strength every single fight. She's obviously someone that's very teachable, a student of the game. You can see she works hard in the gym, and she wants to show what she's learned in the gym in the ring on the night. She's always very eager to not just win, but she wants to excite, she wants to impress, and she's even kind of more confident in herself now doing interviews and the promotional aspects of the game as well. I think as soon as those fights can be made, she'll be ready for them.
And with you see that Katie Taylor is the top dog in the lightweight division, been the face of UK and Irish boxing for such a long time, do you think we could see a passing of the torch, Taylor potentially on her way out now, and then Dubois comes through and be the new face in a way?
Well, look, Taylor's obviously got to beat Chantal Cameron first, and that's a tough fight. She moved up in weight because that's Katie, chasing greatness, and she wanted it to be a huge fight for her homecoming in Ireland. That's a hard fight. Katie's a lot of miles on the clock now. She's going to have to be really smart in this fight against Cameron. She's going to have to try and make sure she's trained smart, where she's fit, but she needs to be as fresh as possible because she's older now. It's a difficult fight, but I think certainly Caroline Dubois is someone that will probably, sort of step into that role, because she's not dissimilar to Katie Taylor in the sense that she's quite shy and outside of the ring quite meek, but when the bell goes, she's a tiger. So there are similarities in that regard, and probably by the time those opportunities come up for Caroline, I think she'll be ready for them.
So moving on to yourself, I did say to you off camera, it's the anniversary of your fight with Jamie Moore back in 2006. Do you ever look back? Obviously, didn't get the result you wanted, but do you ever look back on that fight with great memories that you put on such a good show for the British fans?
Yeah, I didn't. I didn't. When I think about how I boxed that night, I could pull my hair out, but I was. The main thing, I think, I was just so fired up. I was too fired up. It was a big fight. He trained in Manchester. I was living and training in Manchester at the time. There was no bad blood at all. Both camps were quite friendly, but it was certainly a very talked about fight. He was one of the most exciting fighters in Britain. I was one of the most exciting fighters on the up, and it was a very highly anticipated fight. Obviously, in hindsight now, and I say this to some young fighters that I can see, that I can identify with. It's good to have that intensity if that's who you are and that's what makes you the fighter you are. But you've got to learn to harness it, channel it in the right way. And on that night, I was just so fired up, and I'd probably done 10 rounds in the change room before I even left the dressing room. I come out in fifth gear and just couldn't let up. And I learned a lot from that fight. I was talking earlier with Ambrose Mendy. He mentioned it, and I said, well, Nigel Benn against Michael Watson. He was blasting everyone out of there. Probably talked about pace in the fight, but when the heat of the battle and the night and the bright lights, he wasn't able to, because he had never really incorporated it into part of his style. And on that night, because I lost and because of the pain you feel when you lose a fight, I learned a valuable lesson. And we talk about trainers being able to teach fighters skills and technique, and you can talk about tactics. You can't teach anyone heart and guts and desire. And I think both myself and Jamie on that night, it wasn't about proving the fighters we were, but I think we proved the men that we were.
Just going to move this back. With you saying that there about you feel like you learned so much from it, and it is important that things don't always go your way at the time, especially in your career, that you learn from the mistakes that you made, and every approach, like, you always try and get better after. Everyone always says you try and get better after every fight, but learning so much from when it doesn't go your way and things that you've done wrong, and having self-accountability that this is what I need to change.
Yeah, well, you learn more from a loss than you do from probably 10 or 20 wins, because when you win a fight, you'll still have made mistakes in that fight, but you watch the video, you're looking at all the good things you've done, and even if someone's trying to get through to you and tell you about the mistakes or the things you need to improve on, you're kind of like, yeah, but then you have to celebrate the win, and then you might not come back to the gym for a week or two, and you might talk about it, but you're on to the next thing a little bit. You're chasing what's ahead of you. But when you lose, you're so gutted that you literally microanalyze every single thing that happened in the build-up, in training, on the night, and you read the lesson really does sink in, and you go over it and over it and over it, because you don't want to feel that pain again of losing. So, yeah, loss, failure is a necessary part of your success story.
And with yourself, with a fight like that that's blood and guts, and you have to test your character. Although you lost, do you feel like you won in a way because you proved to yourself that when the going gets tough, I'm more than happy to show who I really am as a man? Yeah,
I always believed I had that, but you don't know till you really know, and there's levels, isn't there? And I think, like I say, on that night, I maybe didn't prove how good I was as a boxer, but I certainly proved, the man that I was, that I had no quit in me, and I was prepared to go till the bitter end, digging in, trying to win. And I am, I wasn't proud of the boxing performance, but I'm proud of the heart that I showed on the night, and I'm proud that it's still talked about today.
So, do you feel like in the modern day, and well, not in the modern day, but at this point in boxing, I see Eubank after the Liam Smith fight talked about the heart of fighters and people quitting and it's like, do you feel like it's different now compared to sort of 20, 30 years ago?
A little bit, yeah. I think it it's almost like quitting. I know I don't like that word, but but if you want to say that, it's it's more acceptable, or it's not scorned on as much as it would have been years ago. It's probably I think in life almost every generation gets a little bit softer. You look back years ago, they had it hard, didn't they? You know what I mean? And every now and then you'll see a fight and you think, wow, that could have lived in any era. they're throwbacks or whatever. But I just think in life, life it gets, it's supposed to get a bit easier, isn't it? We're supposed to learn from the generation before, and look at some of those guys in the 50s and 40s and 50s, and they were boxing nearly every couple of weeks, and so yeah, I don't know.
Absolutely. We'll keep on the topic of modern boxing. Unfortunate news today came out. Eddie Hearn said that the site deal for Anthony Joshua versus Deontay Wilder has almost completely collapsed. We don't know what this could mean, whether the fight's going to take place elsewhere, whether both fights are going to go down from different options. Overall, is this disappointing to hear?
Yeah, but look, if that site deal for X amount of money is off the table, then go to the next best option. Do you know what I mean? If that means it's Wembley, or that means it's the O2, or if that's Madison Square Garden or Las Vegas, well then do that. Is it like we can only do this fight if it hits X amount, or look, we're going to do this fight and we're going to try and maximise the revenue? Whatever that is. That's what you want the fight to happen, and then once both fighters agree to fight, then surely you can. Then it's the job to try and go make as much money as possible for both fighters. But I don't think. Is it a case that, if we don't receive X amount of money for the fight, then we're just not going to fight each other? But if you don't fight each other, who else are you going to fight? And what are you going to earn for that?
I mean, who else could fight? Do you see Zhilei Zhang putting him out in the mix now?
Yeah, I guess so. But then fighting Zhilei Zhang, if Wilder or Joshua fight Zhang, it's not going to generate the same revenue as a fight with each other is. Even if that means it's not in Saudi for X amount, even if it's half the amount in Las Vegas or New York or London or whatever, we still want to see that fight. And it's probably fighting each other is still going to generate them more money than fighting somebody else.
So in a way, does this look like Saudi could be a negative thing where England, America and other countries can't financially compete, so the fights won't happen because we can't compete with the money that Saudi are offering, and the two fighters won't be willing to fight if they can't drum up the purse that they want to provide? Yeah,
or they might be holding out for it, so they might think, well, it's off the table for now, but maybe that, those negotiations can be resuscitated, and then that does slow things up, because then people don't want to fight at Wembley or in New York because they think, no, we want to try and hold out for Saudi money. So it does kind of I suppose it makes deals harder to do, because if people are holding on, it's people's expectations, isn't it? It's like anything. It's like market value of any industry or business. If you're an interviewer boxing on, I don't know, let's say £100 a day, and then someone all of a sudden a different crowd's offering £200 or £300 a day, you think, well, I don't want to work for £100 a day because my rate's £300 a day now, but it's not really. It's just that one off, and then it has to be a reset or it's like house prices go up. People don't want to sell the house because they think it's worth X amount, and then no one's offering that in this climate. So it's like, it does the Saudi money. It's great when money comes into the sport, but when it comes in and it inflates the market, and then it moves away, it's like all of a sudden fights aren't happening because people think that this is the market value now. But that wasn't really real. It was a one-off thing. I'm not saying Saudi's a one-off. There's been a few fights there, but I don't think you can rely on that money. I don't know that we can rely on that money. Well, American television, a site fee in Vegas, that's been consistent over a long period of time. Saudi's come in recently for the big fights with a lot of money, but how have they kind of, was that like a flash in the pan, or is that going to be consistent? Because it's not consistent. It's going to disrupt the market, isn't it?
Absolutely, Matt. Thank you for your time to speak to me. I appreciate it. All the best for the future, mate. Good to chat with you, mate. Cheers.